All right, before we start with today's video, if anyone wants to go on a trip to Iceland, this is going to be our third or fourth Adventure Drives trip to Iceland, which is fantastic. Iceland? Yeah, Iceland in the winter. What are you going to do? You're not going to drive sports cars. Absolutely not. But there are great roads, great experiences. We get these off-road trucks. We go snowmobiling on glaciers. We check out the black sand beaches, all this cool Game of Thrones stuff. Lots of waterfalls all over the place. And the Blue Lagoon. Who could not like the Blue Lagoon? So if you want to check out Iceland, we've got an Adventure Drive trip coming up in about 5 weeks. Click the link in the description, check it out, and I hope to see you out there. We're going to have a good time. Today I want to talk about my experience with crowdfunding. Now, you guys know my luggage company I'm launching called Flipside Luggage. And Flipside Luggage has 4 different colors. Now when I'm starting to purchase inventory is not cheap, right? I've got hundreds of thousands of dollars of suitcases on the ocean that are going to be here in a couple of days. Like mid next week. The 21st is when they're supposed to get to the port of LA. But anyway, the cost of all of this, I'm like, all right, well, how do I manage inventory? How do I know how much of what to get? Like, how do I know? Is the demand twice what I'm looking for? Is the demand half of what I'm ordering? And half of what I'm ordering is pretty much better because then I have a runway and I can ramp up as need be. If the demand is twice what I'm ordering, I'm in a tough spot because if they oversell what I have, it's about a 6-month runway to get more inventory. So I have to know far in advance about what's selling, how much is selling, how much to order. And this isn't like well, okay, I'll just order 500 of them. It's thousands that I'm ordering at a time. And when you order too much inventory, you're sitting on it. So I want to know what the breakdown is. If I'm ordering brown stripes on my bag and nobody's ordering them, then I'm going to have 1,000 brown stripe bags sitting in storage somewhere that I'm paying for storage on every month and they're not moving. And then I may sell out of the blue, which right now, just in case you guys were wondering, blue is the most popular color. And I don't want to sell out of the blue and be like, hey, well, we got some brown ones over here, because that's not going to transition. So my solution to this was to try to go to crowdfunding. Now, I sold directly pre-orders to people that watch my YouTube videos, and that was pretty easy because like you trust me and you expect the product to be good and I'm going to deliver the product. Now, the only issue is my audience is 98% male. So what I was trying to do was gather information as to what colors or preferences are going to be there. 98% of guys aren't going to order pink stripes on their bag. So I'm like, all right, well, I need a larger sample size that isn't 98% male. I need a more general audience to pitch this to get an idea of what the actual color breakdown is, what the demand is, and allow me to order properly. And this was meant to be when I was in production while I could still make changes and say, you know what, I don't need 2,000 pink. Give me 2,000 blue and 1,000 pink. So I have a more linear order in line with what the sales are going to be or what the demand is going to be. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that in time for the production because I first started by saying like, all right, let me put this on Kickstarter. I put the campaign together like, sorry, your product is too far along. And I made a video about it. Like they rejected me on Kickstarter because my product was too likely to be completed and it was already in production or the production was about to start. So it removed the risk. To me, that was wild. I'm like, well, wouldn't Kickstarter want like a guaranteed product and to deliver product to these people? I think that's a home run. Everybody wins. So they denied me. I then moved over to Indiegogo. And I'm like, all right, let me launch on Indiegogo. And as soon as I launched on Indiegogo, it just like, it's like getting in a car accident, right? You have lawyer or like getting a traffic ticket. You get all these lawyer letters in the mail, like, hey, I heard you got a traffic ticket. And this is what the wild world of crowdfunding is. And I was like, all right, well, I do like the fact that you have to cross the bar and be approved to post on these crowdfunding sites. But what I don't like is that I was under the impression that these crowdfunding sites are just like swarming with people looking for new ideas. And like, ooh, I'm going to go browse on Kickstarter, browse on Indiegogo and see what's available. And it's not really like that. And I'll tell you why. So I launched, a couple of days go by, no sales. But there's also no views. And I'm like, all right, why is nobody viewing my campaign? It's just like, other than me putting it on Facebook or Instagram or something like that, nobody's coming to this organically. So then I start entertaining these companies that are reaching out to me and saying like, hey, we're going to help you with your Indiegogo. We've got a list of 300,000 super backers, and super backers are people that back many campaigns and everything like that. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess. And a lot of them are like, give us money up front and we'll market it for you, and then we get 10%. You make us a collaborator, we'll get 10% of whatever you generate that's attributed to us. And I was like, all right, that's a fair deal. I'll give you some money up front. And I ended up going with a company called BackerHive. Now, I didn't look them up. I didn't get too into this because it was they had packages from like $600 to $1,500. And I'm like, I'll give this a go and I'll see what happens. And so first thing I did was make a video before BackerHive, but I made a video. I said, hey guys, I got an Indiegogo. Kickstarter bounced me, but I got an Indiegogo. Spike in traffic on the Indiegogo thing, which trails off as the video plays its course. But that's where some sales started coming through and everything. I'm like, all right, we got this going. Let's get this BackerHive thing going. And I had a 40-day campaign is what they told me to do. And I put it up and I'm like they send out this email to their 300,000 super backers that I paid them $800 for. And the most concerning thing I had, and it was always like that bad taste, is they're like, all right, just send us a wire. And I'm like, a wire for $800? Why wouldn't you just, like take a credit card? And I guess the reason is because half these companies are likely frauds. And I learned this afterwards. And as I see that, I'm like, so here's your email. We're going to send it out. I'm like, all right, it looks nice. And they're like, all right, we sent the first email out. Crickets. I'm like, all right, that's like, if they break it up, maybe 75, if they have 300,000 people, maybe 4 emails, 75,000 recipients each. I'm like, hey, I see no results right now. And not only do I see no results, I see no impact on the campaign, because after my video spike of traffic to my campaign, it would get 7 to 10 views a day organically. And that's probably remnant from the 30-day trail on my video after it got posted. And my video only got, just say 15,000 views or something like that. So it's not even like my video got 300,000 views, but it still generated about 1,500 people to the campaign. So about 10%. And that's fine. The only thing is that when the incremental 10 per day, every time they sent out an email, I expected to see a spike, some sales, something, and I had nothing, 0. So I'm like, hey guys, can you send me the results of this campaign? I'm a little hesitant now because you sent out an email. We can't send you the results till we send 2 or 3 emails. I did a couple of follow-ups. They sent their 4 emails. I got 0, zilch, nothing, nada from BackerHive. Then that's when I start looking up, like Reddit is probably the most genuine place you're going to find honest reviews of this stuff. And there is essentially a plethora of scams out there. And when I say scams, if it's a company and they've got emails and they send it out, a lot of them just spam people, and that works, right? So some of it gets through, but some of them have to be clearly fraudulent. Now, they sent me a summary of my thing, and it said 300, and this is how I knew it was bullcrap, 300,000 emails sent, and it was too many round numbers, like 246,000 emails received, 46,000, 0, everything was even numbers. And I'm like, that's not how emails work. That's not how statistics work. So I don't think anyone got it. They claim that 46,000 people opened the emails, and then like, 400 clicked, or however many clicked. I got 0 clicks or 0 impact organic on my website or on the Indiegogo. So there is no impact. You did not send 300,000 or 200,000 or 50,000 super backers click this, and not one of them, and I'm not even talking about converting, right? If they even put fake clicks on my campaign, I would at least feel like they did something. I had 0, absolutely 0, zilch, nada, nothing to the campaign. No backers, no viewers that weren't organic. And I can't, if they sent emails, there should be some sort of bump, like music. If you do something, there should be a result, and there was no result. So that was very frustrating. Money down the tubes. And I was like, all right, well, that's a bummer, because I don't like putting this stuff out there because it almost makes it look like the product is inferior or a failure or something like that. Because a lot of people love to boast. hey, and that's why I put the goal at like $10,000. I'm like, all right, I'll sell $10,000 worth of bags. That's whatever, 20 bags or 20 suitcases. That's easy. But nobody's looking at it. And I'm on this platform, and then I said, like, what's going on? I then went back to Kickstarter because they're like, look, if you have a new product or a twist on it, we'll approve it. So I put the full-size luggage on there. I'm like, all right, well, we're a company. We have this existing product line, which is in production of carry-ons. But now we're going to offer the full size. And then ultimately, Kickstarter approved me. And I was like, all right, we're not going to make the same mistake here, because there was one or two companies that like, yeah, we don't work with Indiegogo. We only work with Kickstarter, which made me think that maybe Indiegogo was a dead platform. Go back to Kickstarter, launch the Kickstarter, and like instantly as soon as I put the Kickstarter up, I got like a sale within, or like a pledge within minutes, right? I'm like, oh, cool. This is what I'm talking about. This is how it's going to go. And that's before I told anyone about it. It just goes into like probably a recently launched thing, and somebody saw it, clicked it, they loved it, and they bought it. Fast forward, I then put it on my social. Somebody else bought it. I'm like, all right, this is more like it. And then it flatlined. And I'm like, why is nobody looking at this? Like, why? And then it turns out you have to drive your own traffic to, and when I start doing all this research, and I was like, oh, you noob, you think you're just going to put it up there? I'm like, yeah, what's the point of the platform? If I have to pay to drive my own traffic, and they say to make these successful, you've got to pre-launch this for months or like a year. You got to build your contact list, start teasing the idea, getting people excited so that when you launch the Kickstarter, they're just ready to click buy. And that's what really promotes it. And that's what, once you get all these people buying it, then Kickstarter will promote it to their clients. And I'm like, well, that defeats the purpose. Like, why can't I just pay Kickstarter to promote it to their clients? So this other company was Space the Agency, which is a marketing company. And they're like, we're going to take your $1,000 or whatever, $1,500, and we're going to put you in front of all these different media outlets. And we're going to push the campaign and everything like that. Guaranteed placement, guaranteed results. PR companies do have a value. I'm like, all right, let me take this approach to this. Still, they drafted their thing. I haven't seen anything yet, but I don't know if they've done any of their outreach yet. So we'll reserve judgment on that. But the fact that I thought that Kickstarter especially, and then Indiegogo, were these platforms that once you got approved, there's traction. Now you've got to do all the buildup. You've got to bring the customers, and all Kickstarter really is, and all Indiegogo appear to be, is a platform which is effectively a web store for you, which I already have, and you're just using them to process your transactions and take a piece of it, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I don't know what the point of these crowdfunding things are, and I wish it was more apparent. It turns out most of these companies that are like Kickstarter affiliated, and they email you and reach out to you, every time I try to look them up, they're all turn out to be some sort of scam, or people have terrible results with it. But if you look at each individual campaign, how I did this is I went to the successful campaigns, and you can look at the collaborators. And I looked at the collaborators and saw where there was a lot of overlap. I'm like, all right, all these successful campaigns worked with Crowdfunder Hub or whatever it was called, and that's the ones that I wanted to start working with. And ultimately, then I start going, and I'm like, I start setting up these calls, and I look at their website, and it's a bunch of stock photos. You reverse engineer the photos, and it's like legitimate stock photo with their logo in the background. So these people in the office doing their think tank things are completely fictitious, and that just rubs me the wrong way. And I mean, I'm now out maybe $3,500 or $4,000 in like companies that I put money into to help promote these things, and they all turn out to be crap. So the point of this is, if you're thinking about doing a crowdfunding thing, and I'm not saying companies don't have successful crowdfunding things, I just didn't figure out the right pieces to make that work, or to drive that traffic. I feel like once you get that momentum, then you're off to the races. But the initial impact, that first 50% of your like success, has to be brought in by you. Now, if I waited and didn't pre-sell my own stuff on my own website, I would have I've doubled, quadrupled what I've got $40,000 in pre-sales already. I would have eclipsed what my funding goal was. But that defeats the purpose. Why am I using somebody else's platform to serve as my web store if I can just sell directly and push them in my web store, especially if I'm doing all the promotion, marketing, and everything like that. I don't know. If there's something I'm missing, you tell me, but I don't think so. I would steer clear of, I'm almost hell-bent on trying to make it work, because I met a guy at SEMA and he's like, yeah, we got $10 million in funding on our projector. And I'm like, that's incredible. Like, that's very cool. And their projector was like the most funded projector on Kickstarter last year. And $10 million, I'm like, that's terrific. Like, that's funding that's awesome. And you can pretty much do whatever you want with that. But I don't know the secret sauce to that. I don't know who's full of crap, who's not full of crap. And so far, it's like every ambulance chasing lawyer, and everybody's out there promising you the world. Here's all the results. We generate $800,000 with this guy, $1 million with this guy. And I'm not even seeing click-through. I'm not even seeing any impact other than me sending somebody money and it burns away. So we'll see what happens. I've got like 2 weeks left on this. I may relaunch the campaign. It turns out Kickstarter has like approved vendors, even though they warn you about all these companies. So I'm going to talk to another company tomorrow and see what it is. But if their whole thing is I got to spend 6 months building up a customer list to then release it to the customer list, and that drives instant traffic and they start dumping money in because they've been waiting to feed money into this idea, I'm just going to stick to what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to start selling and then get my own data from there. But it's quite interesting. The world that I thought was going to provide me data and that, oh, once I've crossed this threshold and I'm accepted to go on this platform, they're going to have all these buyers eager to like see what I've got, and the traffic just isn't there. So we will see what happens. I'll put a link to the Kickstarter below in the thing if you want to check it out. Send it out to your friends. Let's give it a little bump here and see if we can generate the traffic and get it into that algorithm and see if we can make Kickstarter actually take control of this and run with it and become a featured product or whatever the thing is that drives that success on Kickstarter. I don't know it. And I'm sure there's people that have had success there. I am not one of them. So if you know somebody who wants to do crowdfunding, send them this video first, because I'll save them at least some money or some substantial money. And I'm curious what the point of having a platform is if you could just do the same thing with a web store. If you're a company with a website and you have a web store, you can do your own pre-orders. You don't need a third-party company to act as your platform if they're not bringing anything to the table. That's me. Rob Ferretti, thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Flipside Luggage, I've got a factory visit. I went all the way to Thailand to watch my bags being built. I've got a whole walkthrough of the entire process. And then when they hit the docks over in LA, I'm going to document the process of them then getting loaded into the warehouse and what the packing facility and it's called a 3PL, third-party logistics company, is going to do from when they go through the factory, onto the boat, over to the port, through customs, to the factory, loaded onto the thing, packed, shipped, and sent to a customer. So it's pretty fun. Having a good time. I hope you're enjoying watching this process, and I will see you soon. Check out flipsideluggage.com if you want to. And I hope to see you out in an Adventure Drives trip to Iceland, or we're doing one to Spain this year, and also Scotland. So we've got a lot of stuff coming up. I'm excited for a great 2025, and I'm happy to share the journey with you guys.